be going live now. Let me just quickly see. Maybe let me just get my water ready. Put it on the other side of the table. Don't want to accidentally knock it over on my computer or anything like that. Let's just see. It shows that I'm streaming on Twitch, but I'm not. All right, there we go. It looks like I'm on YouTube as well. All right, perfect. So this should just be a small, well, continuation, just chatting about network stuff in general. It should be fun. Let's get cracking, so to speak. I'd really like to figure out the VPLS stuff though. Between Juniper and MikroTik, I'd really like to make that work potentially. So I think that might be a good starting point. Let me just see if the VPLS is still functioning between this MikroTik 19 and 18, because it was in a working state last time. Could still be that these Junipers are starting up though, so let's just see what happens when I try and log into them. Admin, actually this should be root. I actually don't want to log onto the C or the PE, I just wanted to log onto this little MikroTik, to be honest. So let's see here, what is this dude doing? IP neighbor print. Oh, I actually wanted to see if that Juniper was up. Now I remember why I logged into it. So the Juniper was obviously up because I could get onto the login screen. If I just do a CLI, let's just do show route print, not show route print, show route. Well, we can just do a show route, see if I'm learning my OSPF routes. Yes, I am. I'm learning a few things. This thing is a bit unhappy because of some of the changes I've made, but I think it's also resource starvation a bit. Don't like seeing those type of messages on it. I want to see if I've got the layer 2 stuff up, because that is actually quite important. Is the layer 2 stuff up? I actually think I should be able to do table. It should be in my... Oh, I actually think I took off the... Did I? I'm pretty sure I took off the VPLS stuff. Let me just go back to that topology. Because here this is connecting onto... I think this is just... this PE2, this is just a MikroTik. I don't even know what I'm doing on this Juniper, to be honest. I'm like lost in my own topology at the moment. So I want to bring the VPLS back onto this Juniper. And it should just be a case of... I might just stop this VPC connected on GE007. What was I doing there? Let's also just check that. So show configuration interface GE00. Don't have anything configured on there, so I could just quickly turn that off. And I'm just going to move this VPLS instance back onto the Juniper. So I could do Ether1 onto GE008. And I think GE008, does it have any config bound onto it? It's got the Ethernet set or the encapsulation set for VPLS. I think I could also set the family for VPLS if I remember correctly. So let's just do that as well. So configure set interfaces. .0 family VPLS. And oh right, I actually need to move that interface into the VPLS instance, which I removed in one of the previous sessions. So let's just add the VPLS instance. So let's do a set routing instance. We can give it a name. What is that? Customer. I think that was going to be a customer 2 or 3. Yeah, it's customer 3. So I've already got customer 3's config on there. Let's just see what it is. Show routing instances, display set. Right there, I've actually got it already set. So we've got that set, so that's fine. I just actually want to update this route distinguisher though. Although that shouldn't really break it or anything, but let's just see what happens if I do a configure, or let's just do a set routing instances customer 3. And this route distinguisher, what was this? Loopback 172.31.255.255. So 172.31.255.255, and then colon 3. That should be fine. And should I just delete interface GE008.0 family or family VPLS? Let me check. All right. So that should do that. So if I do a show VPLS connections, don't have any. I mean, I should at least see that it's doing anything. So did I maybe have it disabled? Yes, that's why it's not. That's why I didn't like the interface when I added it. So let's just activate it. So configure, and let me maybe disable it on that MikroTik as well. I did see I had it open somewhere here, so I could just do a routing BGP VPLS. Let's just export that, and I think I'm just going to disable it from this one. So routing BGP VPLS disable 0. That should do that. Site ID was 2. Let's just see, was it also 2 on this end? Yes, it was, so that's fine. All right, that's fine. So the next bit that I could do is, can I do a commit check? Actually, I think it already, did it take it? Did I actually save it? I haven't saved anything yet. Oh wait, I didn't activate it yet, so that's why. Activate routing instance customer 3. Oh, and I might want to add the interface into that as well. So set interfaces GE008.0 family VPLS. So if I do a show VPLS connections, it's still down. Let me see if I can jump onto that MikroTik. Get on there, connect to the ROM, and let's get onto PE1. And is there a new Winbox update? Apparently. What is it? Small improvements. I might just update it just now. But before then, I just want to make a few minor tweaks. So I've got my MPLS VPLS with the BGP configured. Just want to update this route distinguisher as well to 172.31.255 dot what was that, dot 2. We can just apply that. That's site ID 1. That's correct. No, it doesn't signal at all. It's a pity. So let me just update Winbox, install the new version quickly, and reconnect. Although this doesn't fix anything. This is just Winbox. I just want to keep it updated. So I know for a fact that the VPLS was working with MikroTik to MikroTik. Memory used. All right, it's actually not too bad. It's actually quite fine. But it's funny thinking how much resources it's actively using, and I've got very little configured at the moment. It's using like 224 megabytes, and that is actually quite a lot. Let's see if I go into my... I'm still connected to that RR. Is my session established? Yes, it is. Why is that uptime only 15 seconds? That's a bit weird. That's pretty strange. So what I could do is just quickly jump onto that route reflector as well. There's a few things I can check from there as well. So, little route reflector, what secrets do you have? So let's do a route, show route. And here I should see the L2 VPN stuff. So BGP L2 VPN.0. Alright, cool. So I am actually seeing something. Customer 3. Site 1, site 2. Yeah, this looks alright to me. Let me just go back to this Juniper quickly. No sessions there. Good evening. Welcome to the stream. It was a bit lonely, but it's alright. I don't mind streaming to myself as well. How you been doing? And I see a few other viewers as well, so welcome. So, this is kind of... I just want to make sure this is actually working. I'm doing well, actually. I'm doing quite well. Thanks for asking. So, what I want to try and do is maybe just move the VPLS off of the PE1 down to this Juniper at the bottom, and then test and see if I can get Juniper to Juniper VPLS working, because then I know if it's either me doing something wrong with the Junipers, although I don't think so, but the possibility is always there. There's always something that I could potentially be missing. Where could be a good spot for that? That's why I connected these little virtual PCs in the last lab. I wanted to do VPLS through here, but that's fine. It's fine. Let's just delete this virtual PC. I can just put this MikroTik's... did I take the wrong side now? No, it's the right side. Okay. I am going to confuse myself a lot. So let's just grab this new site. If Eve allows me to grab all of these things, we can move it around there. And let's just connect that up to our Juniper up here. So I'll also just make that on GE008. And let's just see what's happening. There's also some stuff I want to figure out with if I'm streaming on Twitch and YouTube. I'd like to have the chat also be read on the screen. I know a lot of streamers do it. I'm sure it's just like a plugin that you can install on OBS to get it working. I know I can just undock the window and put it on the screen, but that kind of it's not the same thing that I want, because I don't want to just see the chat the whole time on the screen either. I just want it to be offside on OBS and just kind of like be caught by the capture software. But that is more or less me just figuring out streaming things. It just makes it look a bit more better, I think, like interactive, if the chat is also on the screen. So when I respond to people and it's not somebody that's watching live, they can actually understand what's going on. Although I think you can read the chat history in VODs and stuff. Although I don't save any VODs on Twitch, it's just on YouTube when people watch on there. Alright, so let's just quickly replicate this config across. So I'm just going to open up a notepad. And I'm going to be a little bit cheeky and just copy the config across from the current Juniper. And just tweak it a bit for our own purposes. Show configuration, display set, match customer 3. So let's just grab this, paste that in here, and I could do the same maybe for GE-008. Actually, I could have just done it like that. I didn't have to put in the quotes. Grab this bit out as well. Let's just update this a bit. I think this is 254. So that's fine. That's fine. Site ID, change that to 1. And then I might just want to disable it on the PE1 on here. So MPLS, VPLS, BGP, VPLS. Okay, that's the PE2 that I'm on, which is fine. Let's just disconnect and get onto the PE1. MPLS, VPLS, BGP, VPLS, just so that it doesn't have this like confusion of what is site 1 or site 2, because those routes are going to get exported to the route reflector. If I just leave it on the PE1, it's going to send it to this route reflector. It's going to confuse any other clients. So that should fix that up. So next step is just copy this config across, which is literally just copy paste. Hopefully it copies everything in one go. Let me just get onto that device. Root, CLI it, and then configure mode. Oh, configure mode. And it's missed a little bit of config, this bit. I should actually just rename the site here, but this is also just a name. It doesn't really, it won't break it if it has the same name on both ends. It's really just that site identifier that's important. So if I do a show compare, we've got our interface that we've added for the VPLS, and we've got our actual VPLS instance that we've done the BGP for. So if I do a commit check, it should pass it, hopefully. And it does, so I can just commit and quit that. And if I go back, I don't even need to go back. I can just do it from this Juniper and see if the VPLS connection comes up. So if we do a show VPLS connection, it's also down. So something is not happy. Something is a problem. Match. I did set the instance type for VPLS. Yep. Those are all fine. It just sees that nothing is, oh, no connection found. And if I go back to this route reflector, I should see, well, I'm only seeing one. So that would be a problem. And it's only seeing the route from the PE3, which is this device. So I'm not seeing anything from this bottom juniper. I wonder, this bottom juniper, if I look at this route reflector, let's just do a show BGP summary. Is it actually connected? 254. There we go. That's definitely going to be a problem. We are stuck in an active session for the BGP for the last 11 minutes. If I do a ping, can I get there? I can get there, so definitely has routes for that. Let's just see if I connect back onto this device, how the BGP's been configured. Display set match BGP. So its local address is that. All right, I see. It's still pointing to the .1 route reflector, which is up here, which I've kind of like taken out of the equation for now. So let's just connect this to the Juniper route reflector. So that should actually fix our connectivity issue. So if I do a configure, we can just do a rename for this. So rename to .5. And that should fix our issue. So it replaces .5 or replaces .1 with .5. We can commit and quit this. And then we should see this BGP session come up. So let's just look at the summary again. There we go. Nice and established. And with the BGP established, if I look at my route table for the BGP L2, I am receiving the route table for it. But this looks good to me. But if I look at when I was receiving the route from the MikroTik, it looked a lot different. There we can see it's like 3:1:0. And here is 3:2:1. But down here, we've got 3:1:1 and 3:2:1. So that's already a bit of a difference. Let's just see if our connection is up now. Hopefully it is. We've got the connection. It's actually making a connection, but it's in a NP state. What is MP? So MP is interface hardware not present. So that would be our GE008 interface. If I look at that interface, GE008, it is up. And we do have input packets from it as well, but we don't have any output packets. Encapsulation, Ethernet, VPLS. So I wonder on, what's this, MikroTik 18, admin blank, IP neighbor print. Yeah, it doesn't see the neighbor, but it's obvious because it's not working at the moment. So can I just try and rejig this cable maybe? So Ether 1 on GE008. And I wonder what it says on this remote end. On the second, or well, PE3. I should actually just rename their stuff so it's easier to identify when I'm hovering over them in the PuTTY screen. So if I look at my 008 interface, it is up. Well, I think it's up. And seeing input packets, not seeing anything outputting. And I've got the idea I'm going to see the same error here. So show configure or show VPLS connections, NP state. I wonder if this could have something to do with the trial licenses that I'm using as well. Because that is definitely a possibility. Let me just quickly get onto the good old Google. So let's just grab this flag, pop that into Google. Let's see what this says. That's some different ACX stuff. Just old documentation doesn't really help us. I don't see anything that really helps us. I mean, there's a command I could try and run for no tunnel services, but I don't think that's the fix, but it's worth a shot. Set routing instances, customers 3, protocols, VPLS, no tunnel services. Commit and quit. And show configuration, routing instances, display set. Let me just quickly grab that config and paste it across. So this device, so configure and commit and quit. So let's see what our thing is saying. What do you know? It was that. The more you know. So that definitely brought that connection up. Now the question is it actually up between our sites? So let's see my MikroTik 18. If I look at the IP neighbor print, hey, what do you know? I do actually see the remote MAC address and IP. And I think I should actually be able to ping across, so ping 10, 11, 12, 1, dot 2, sorry. I want to ping this neighbor IP because this is over the VPLS instance itself. So this goes all the way from here through our little ISP network into this, well, still our ISP network, but well, there, down to the site too. So that's fine. So here we can see we've got it working between Junipers, we've got it working between MikroTiks. Now, can I get it working between the MikroTik and the Juniper? So I'm going to disable that on my PE4, so configuration, deactivate routing instance, customer 3, commit and quit. Then I'm just going to move this node, well, nodes back onto PE1. If I can select them, that would be fantastic. And just pop a connection back onto, I don't even remember what it was connected on the MikroTik. Was it Ether 4? I almost think it was Ether 4. We could probably confirm just by going onto the MikroTik. Is this PE1? Yes, it is. What is in the bridge? I've got, what's that, Ether 10. So that should actually be the interface. Is Ether 10 connected to anything? No. So let's just fix it up, delete the connection and reconnect it on Ether 10. And once that has happened, if I re-enable my VPLS, I wonder if it's going to work now that I've set that no tunnel services. Maybe that was the ticket. Because this looks fine to me. 65000 site 1. Yeah, it looks fine to me. What is that? RD. Remote site signal down. Alright, but I think that's because of the connection that failed. Have I actually enabled this? Yes, I have. It's definitely not coming up. I shouldn't have to add the Cisco stuff. Should I? For MikroTik to make it interop? Let me see, because I did see a post on the MikroTik forums actually with somebody doing something very similar. MikroTik Juniper interoperability. Alright, here I see somebody is complaining about the label block size being different between the Juniper and MikroTik, which is kind of something that we saw. And the way they fixed it was just to change the MikroTik site ID. Because if they were using like site ID 1, 3, whatever, certain ones up to 15, it didn't work. So let's just test that out. If it does work, then that'll be very interesting. Although I think on the Juniper I set it to only be up to site 10, so I might just have to make a tweak there as well. So let's just make this 41. Apply that change. And let's jump onto the Juniper. Get onto the configuration mode. And then what I want to do is set routing instances customer 3. Protocols, VPLS, and I think from here I can set the tunnel size, or do I need to go into the site itself? Site range, I think. Let's just set that for 100. Commit and quit. And let's see, does anything happen? Don't see that anything happens there. Let's go back to that route reflector, because I do think that is where the answer is. If I look at my routes, what am I learning? I'm still learning something from .254. So let me just double check that .254 that it's actually been disabled, which is it didn't take it, and I know why it didn't take it. So it didn't deactivate the routing instance, because when I did that, GE008, which I said to be part of the VPLS family, is no longer able to be a part of that instance because it's technically invisible. So to get around that, I'll just deactivate this interface as well. And then if I commit and quit now, we should see, I mean, maybe that fixes it. Let's just see that the stuff actually gets fixed on the route reflector. All right. Right now I'm not seeing .254 anymore. And there I can see the route for the MikroTik. So let's just jump back to the MikroTik quickly. I don't see that VPLS connection come up. So we fixed one thing, but it's definitely not the main reason why this is not working. Oh, now I've got a no outgoing label issue. No outgoing label, so this is usually like something with the LDP maybe. Or with the neighbor itself. So a few things I can check. I mean, it's fun getting into like issues like this. So if I do a ping to, what was it, 172.31.255.2, I can get there. And if I do a show LDP neighbor, well, that should be fine. I actually think this is where our issue comes in. This might have something to do with the MPLS labels and not so much just the VPLS config. No outgoing label, because I know for a fact LDP is working. Because it was running on the MikroTiks, 2 MikroTiks, and the Junipers, 2 Junipers. And this all runs over MPLS. Like, that's just it. It just runs MPLS. It's not like it's running anything else. And it is using LDP as the signaling protocol. So I wonder if there's a few other things that I can try and tweak. Let's maybe have a look at our MPLS settings quickly. I think I can go into the settings itself. So dynamic label ranges from 16 to 104.8575, which is fine. And MPLS, nothing that I should be able to just tweak there for it. Right. Wonder if I want to just play with RSVP now, because that is a good workaround as well. A few more settings and stuff that I can poke around with. Let me just have a look at that post from the user on the MikroTik forums again. And what I could do is just bring it up on the screen so you can also see what I'm talking about, because here it's MikroTik Juniper interoperability on BGP signal VPLS. Hello, we have MPLS network, solely built on Juniper MX routers. We have 2 route reflectors, 16P routers, and of course a lot of VPLS configured. We decided to try BGP signal VPLS and hit this strange problem. 8 of our Juniper Ps recognized the MikroTik site establishing pseudo wires with no problem. Other 8 C site but not establishing any connections, having site status of OL, which means no outgoing label. Tried it on this and this and this. Working sites are 5, 20, 22, 24, 20, LDP seems okay, which is the same instance that we have. But this was running Routers version 6 as well, so it's also not totally applicable to our scenario, since version 7 has its own little tweaks and stuff as well. So, I just want to go through a few of these settings. It's interesting. I've added the loopback interface for LDP, which kind of makes sense as well, to be fair. I actually think that is something we can do, because it's pretty normal to have LDP running on your loopbacks on Juniper World, at least if you're building stuff like layer 2 circuits. And I'll showcase that as well. That's a kind of a cool technology that Juniper does. It's basically like EOIP on MikroTik, just in Juniper's way of doing it. Although EOIP, I think you can have multiple sites as well. You can have like this weird bridge connection going on, but you can definitely cause some weird broadcast, like storms or even loops, using EOIP as well. So I think what I'd like to do is just go into the MPLS quickly, and let's just add our loopback interface. 172.31.255.2, and I'm going to do the same on the Juniper. So configure set, I think it's just set protocols. This should be LDP interface LO0.0, show compare, commit and quit, and let's see, does that actually fix our label issue? Let me just quickly refresh this. So from the MikroTik, let's just go into our VPLS, disable, enable. And I'm kind of going to do the same on here. Set. I might also just have to change the site label or ID for the Juniper, which should be weird. But let's try that anyways. So show routing instances, display set. So I'm just going to update that to like 42. And the other bit that I wanted to do is also just quickly disable it again. I might just deactivate it. So no, but if I deactivate, it's going to moan about the interface, and then also need to disable the interface. You know what? Let's just do that. Deactivate interface GE008, commit, and then I'm just going to roll back one, and that should roll me back to, well, now it just wants to change that site ID back again. Roll back. Let me just reactivate. So activate interfaces G08 and activate routing instances customer 3. Let's have a look. Show VPLS connections. Alright, so that seems to be the trick. I just had to, well, I don't know, it could have been one of two things. It could have either been that well, it could have been three things. It could be that I updated that site ID to something else that fits that MPLS label, well, the labels distribution, because what we saw was that the MikroTik was only doing from 16 to something. But I shouldn't have to do that. I don't think that is the issue. It could be. I mean, I could change it back and see if it breaks it or not. I mean, I also just refreshed it by just disabling, re-enabling it, and also adding LDP to or adding loopback 0 to the LDP protocol. I actually think that was the fix, with the basically refreshing the BGP session, or that advertisement that fixed it. So the question is, does it actually work? So let's see if I go back to this MikroTik. Can I see my neighbors still? I can't see my neighbors, so that's not a promising site. Can I ping across? No. So it's definitely, we've got a connection, which is good, but this isn't like 100% up yet. So we've got it up. Let me just do it extensive. So this looks fine. I just want to see what's happening on the MikroTik. I don't have the VPLS interface come up here. So that's definitely an issue. Let's try and set the pseudo wire type again. Though I don't think that will be the fix either. I really do want this to be BGP signaled though. I could try and force it to work just by adding a VPLS tunnel manually and building it that way, but it kind of defeats the purpose of what I'm trying to achieve. And if I look at my route reflector, is this still hanging around somewhere over here? So that is 172. So 341, 32. 255, 342, 41. So that does look fine to me. And if I go onto here, let's just go into the terminal, and I just want to do a routing route print where AFI equals L2 VPN. So it is learning layer 2 VPN route. What's it seeing from 255.2? Well, that's itself, so that's fine. And that's the gateway. And it's obviously up. If I go back to my, where's this? Here, show LDP session, show LDP neighbor. I don't see that the LDP neighborship has formed between these two nodes. Back on the Juniper, let's just see. Passive white. Yeah, this is actually frustrating me a little bit. I think let me just take one step back, and instead of going for the VPLS solution itself, let's just see if we can get the transport working for something besides LDP. This is where I want to test RSVP, but it does mean that I'm going to have to disable RSVP on these provider edge devices and these provider or core devices as well. So it's going to take me a little bit of time to just rejig things, but might as well just start with it. I mean, the sooner I do it, the sooner we can actually play around with it. And I really want to get RSVP working on MikroTik as well. So we are hitting two birds with one stone, as they say. So for now, I do want to we can just disable the LDP stuff, and that's from the provider edge 1. And then what I can do is in my MPLS, we should have traffic engineering. So there's a few nuances here. I will have to add my interfaces, which is going to be my, what is that, Ether 1, 2, and 3. Yeah, so 1, 2, and 3. Ether 1, Ether 2. This is kind of just like adding the LDP interfaces. And Ether 3. The fun thing about RSVP is it's very like fluid. There's a lot of stuff you can do with it. You can kind of like traffic engineer based on bandwidth requirements, or even traffic markers or class of service markers. It's really, really useful. So Ether 1, 2, 3 I've added. We're gonna have to add some tunnels and tunnel path stuff. I just want to see, do I have OSPF? Have I enabled the MPLS stuff? I have, although the TE address is wrong here, so let's just fix that quickly. 31.255.2. So apply that, and now I can go to the next device. So connect to ROM-on again. Well, connect to ROM-on, get onto the PE2, and just kind of do the same process now. So MPLS, disable LDP, disable my interfaces, go into the traffic engineering, add the interfaces, but there's still more we need to do. Like we need to actually build the LSPs, or the label switch paths, and that is also just going to take us a little bit of time. Right, so that's done. The important bit is that I just need to make sure that the OSPF stuff is done. And we don't need to just we don't have to build LSPs off of everything. I might just build it off of the MikroTik and the Juniper to start with. Because with RSVP, you're kind of building a unicast tunnel, and you're either like sending, receiving. So you kind of want to build the LSP on both directions, or both ends, a head end and the tail end, for it to function. Because like I said, it's very dynamic how you can move traffic across using RSVP. So that's our P2. I wanted to check the OSPF config. So routing, OSPF. And this is also still using the old address. So 172.31.255.3. I think, yeah. So we can just close this again. Now I can just connect onto my P1 device. P1 device. And from here, routing OSPF. Check our instance. This is wrong, so that should be 172.31.255.1. And we're going to go into our LDP, disable this. And then we're just going to go into our MPLS, traffic engineering, add the interfaces. What is this? This is also Ether 1, 2, and 3. They're all just 1, 2, and 3. It's so straightforward. I love it. Ether 1, 2, and 3. And this is kind of where the command line could be easy as well. Well, it's kind of the same amount of time to add these things, to be honest. Connect to the ROM-on, get onto P2, and look at its OSPF quickly. Also wrong, 172.31.255. What was this .4? Apply that, and then we can go into our MPLS, disable the LDP stuff. Go into our traffic engineering, add our Ether 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, 3, and disconnect. Well, I've got 1, 2, P1, P2, so I just need to do the junipers quickly, and that should actually be a pretty straightforward process as well. So I could just go into this VCP and show configuration, display set, match LDP, configure, delete protocol LDP, set protocols RSVP interface, and then I can just add my interfaces. So that is GE008. Well, not 8, 0. Dot 0, show configuration. I just want to see our show interfaces. G000, display set. This should be part of MPLS already. Yeah, it is. So that should be fine. So commit and quit. And then lastly, where's that P4? Configure, delete protocols, LDP, and set protocols, LRSVP interface. Is this also 000? Yes, it is. 0.0, commit and quit. All right, so first thing I want to do is maybe just build LSPs between my two junipers and see if I can maybe, it's a different instance, isn't it? You know, let's just, since I've got like maybe an hour left that I actually want to stream, let's just go straight for the throat and go on to the MicroTik and build the LSP from there. So from here, let's just disconnect again, get onto the PE1. And from PE1, if I go into my MPLS traffic engineering, there's two things we can do. We can do a tunnel path, and I could do something like use CSPF, which is kind of using OSPF to figure it out. I could even record the route and apply that, and then I could just build the tunnel using that tunnel path. So the tunnel, I'll call this what is this, PE1 to PE3, and this is going to be coming from 172.31.255 dot, what was it, dot 2, I think, and then actually it was dot 3, wasn't it? No, it is dot 2, never mind. And then my 2 address is going to be 255, and then I'm just going to make my primary path this TP1, which is being used by OSPF to figure it out. Let's apply that, and let's see, we do see there is some type of flow there, and that should be good. And then if I go on to the Juniper, I'll just build the LSP from there. Now I'm gonna build it very straightforward, so I could do set MPLS, set protocols, MPLS labels, switch path, path name. So we could call this PE3 to PE1, and we can just specify 2, and this is where I'm going to type in the loopback IP, so 172.31.255.2, show compare, and that should be the LSP done. I think the Juniper by default will just use OSPF to determine the LSP, but let's just see if it's actually doing that. I can do something like show MPLS LSP. Let's just see if it's up or down. It does show it's up, which is fairly good. That is something that we want to see. So it's up on the egress and the ingress. So ingress is kind of like the tail end where it's sending traffic to me, and then the egress is where I'm sending traffic to it. Now that is good. That is what we want to see, because I haven't configured anything on any of these devices in the bottom, like P1, P2. I've only got RSVP running on them, but we'll actually see that LSP running. If I go into this PE1 and I log in without any details, if I do a MPLS, no, it's not MPLS that I'm looking for, is traffic engineering. No, it is MPLS traffic engineering. It's just that it looks confusing from the command line. If I do a flow print here, there we can see we're actually seeing those flows between these devices. So it sees those LSP details, it knows kind of like what to do and how to figure this stuff out. So that is good. Now the question is, can I get the VPLS working running off of the RSVP? So if I go back to my P3, did I disable the MPLS or the VPLS stuff? Display set, customer 3, it's still there. Show VPLS connections. So now I've got a encapsulation mismatch, which is interesting. I wonder if that's because I set it to raw on PE1. Let me just quickly disconnect and reconnect on ROMON and get onto that PE1. And I'm just going to leave some of the stuff. So if I go BGP signal, let's just take out the config there. Let's see. Connection has come up, but it's still not learning it on the MikroTik properly. Man, I thought I was so close. That is pretty good though. I mean, I am happy that I'm seeing that it connects still and it's using RSVP to transport this, or MPLS with RSVP to do this. But why are you not working, my friend? Or why are you not working from the MikroTik side? Is there some other knobs we need to tweak? If I set this to raw Ethernet again, let's leave the pseudo wire control word out of it. And let's just see, does that actually, that causes an encapsulation mismatch as well. There's a few things we can do though. If I do a configure set routing instances, customer 3, protocol, VPLS, I wonder, can you ignore a mismatch? Because I know that's something that you can do with, there we go. And we can ignore the MTU mismatch as well. So if I commit and quit, alright. So let's do the delete this MTU mismatch. Well, let me try and delete it again. Delete. I wonder if it will allow me to do that. So it can ignore the encapsulation mismatch, but it can't ignore the MTU mismatch. But it's not actually doing anything for me. So that's unfortunate. That is raw Ethernet. If I set it to VPLS, does that fix it? Yeah, that does fix it. So if I go back here, why are you not creating my tunnel? Update that to something else as well. See if me just poking buttons will fix it. There we get a no outgoing label set again. Let me set that back to, what was it, 41? So that comes up. But that's pretty weird. Like, that's not normal. Me setting the site to 50 and then it breaks it, but I'm using 41, it comes up. So I think there's something from the MikroTik end that it's not happy with. Nothing to do with tables. I don't even think it's anything to do with the IP. I'm pretty sure it's going to be something with the MPLS stuff. Let me just add these as well. So Ether 1, although it should already just be running, to be honest. Ether 2, Ether 3. And if we go back to our MPLS or our VPLS specifically, still nada. 65003, that is fine. What happens if I disable that there? It's not unhappy about that. Still no signaled interface. No, I'm stumped. This is going to take me more research time. I wonder if I can at least have the layer 3 VPN stuff working. Let's see if that actually works. So this, I might just have to build LSPs between PE1 and PE2 quickly, since this already has this customer 1 stuff, this purple site running off of it. So this should just still be working kind of. So let me see here. PE1, PE2, build LSPs. At least I can copy paste some of this. So this should just be traffic engineering, tunnel path, and let's just copy this tunnel path and then just rename it PE1 to PE2, and then this is going to be connecting to .3 using OSPF, and I'm going to do the same for PE3. So, well, PE2 I mean. I might just do it from the command line quickly. So this should just be a case of MPLS, traffic engineering, export. We've got our interfaces, so traffic engineering. We've got a path. We'll add a new path. I'm not going to give it a name. I'll just tell it needs to record the route. Yes, and it's going to use CSPF, or yes. Disabled, no. And then, oh, do I need to give it a name? TP1. I think it just automatically gave that name if you just do it from one box, but it's fine. Then we can do MPLS, traffic engineering, and this is where you can go tunnel. And we can add our tunnel. And this name, I can give this PE2 to PE1. And our 2 address is going to be the PE1 loopback IP, so 255.2. And our 0 from address, and that I'm just going to make it 172.31.255.3. I think it's .3, yep. And our primary path is going to be TP1. And I think that should be all we need. So if we look at our traffic engineering tunnel and we print this, we can see it shows it is up, it is forwarding. And I think similarly, if we look at the flow, we can just print that. We can see kind of what it's doing. So we've got N is ingress, E is egress, R is reservation. So now the question is the MPLS stuff, the layer 3 VPN stuff working? I don't think I disabled anything with it. So technically, I think the CE2 should just be able to ping the CE1. So let's quickly test that out. Actually, we can also just see from the route reflector if I'm receiving these routes. So where was that route reflector? L3 VPN routes. So I don't see anything hidden, which is fine. Although I do think I still have the old addresses for some of the stuff. Like the route distinguisher. But it won't break anything. It will still work. It's just using a different route distinguisher than 172.31.255.3. It's just using 192.0.0.3 or whatever I made it before. So the question just is it actually working? So if I go onto this customer edge, can I ping, what did I make it? Ping 164.0.0. That is timing out. That is timing out. So that is not a good sign. 192.168.10.1. Let's just source it. 192.168.20.1. Okay, so even sourcing it fails. And that should really just be a single hop almost. It should just go from PE2 to PE1, like a straight LSP. And we should actually be able to see some of that information. If I go into PE1 and I have a look at its BGP VPN, I mean, this is where the route distinguishers are a bit wrong. And let me just update it, but this won't break it. It's just really like a looking nice thing. So our route distinguisher, I can just make this something different for the customers. So 172.31 255 dot, what was this, dot 2, and I'll make this for customer 1. And let's just copy paste that. And then similarly on our PE2, routing BGP VPN export, routing BGP VPN set, router import router ID 172.31.255.3, and our route distinguisher is going to be 172.31.255.3. 1. So if I go back to my route reflector, I should actually see that updated. And I do see it there. So I am learning 172.31.255. Well, I'm learning this 164.0.0/31 inside of this route distinguisher. Oh, cool! I got some stream bots. So that's fine. If I look at my routing table on the MikroTik and we look at our customer 1, I am learning the routes, which is pretty good. I'm even seeing the routes from the Juniper. I wonder, can I get to the Juniper stuff? That should be pretty interesting. And what else I'd like to try is maybe add another site that's inside that same VRF, inside this Juniper at the bottom, just to see if Juniper to Juniper is working. But let's just see from our MikroTiks. I know that I'm learning the routes. And this was what? CE1 customer or CE2 customer 1. Let's see, can I ping now? No, so ping is still failing. Can I ping .30? That is the good question. Can I get to that device that's connected to the Juniper? That I cannot. So let's go and just quickly configure something over here. I don't know if I want to spin up a new node quickly. I mean, it's really fast to do, so it's not even going to inconvenience me. So let's just do that. Add a new node. It's going to be another MikroTik, because again, very lightweight, doesn't eat a lot of resources. I'm not even going to add the PC or make things look nice yet. I'm just going to bring this up so I can actually see if I can get across. So Ether 1 into, let's make a G007. And let's start it up. And let's grab an IP quickly. So I've got 1, 2, 3. I don't think I should be able to use .6 next. Let's just make it .6/31. And let's see if this MikroTik's booted up. Yes, it has. So this should be a straightforward admin blank. No, cancel. And then system identity set name, customer or C, customer 1. Or let's make it CE 23 CE4 customer 1. My naming convention is actually a bit silly. I should actually make it the customer and then what CE it is, but it's fine. It's just something that's annoying me now at the end, but it doesn't really matter. So IP address, add address 164.0.67/31 on my Ether 1. And let's just add a route out. So route or IP route add destination 0000/0 gateway 164.0.6. And let's just configure the Juniper quickly. And this is where I might just cheat again. Well, not really cheating, since I've already done the hard work on one Juniper. It's nice and quick to just export it. But I shouldn't just say that's a Juniper thing. You can do that with the MikroTiks as well. So should be here. So show configuration, routing instances, customer 1, display set. So let's just grab that. I'm not going to add the static, or maybe let's add a static just in case. It's fine. Add the static as well. There's my notepad. So customer 1, that is GE007. And we just want to update that to 254. Let me just update that route distinguisher. And next hop was .7, and let's make it .40. I don't know if it's just going to take everything one go. And since I'm looking at this config, there's actually something I do want to just update on this customer or PE3. I just want to update this route distinguisher as well. Set route distinguisher, this should be that. And the other part is we just want to add our interfaces. So show configuration, interfaces, display set. So I just want to grab this config, pop it in there. I'll close that search window. And I think I did set it for 7. So we should be good to just bring this across. Configure, add interface config, and add our VRF config. Cool, took everything, so let's just commit and quit. So now the question is my LSPs, I actually haven't built the LSPs yet between the Junipers either. I quickly need to do that, so configure, set set protocol, MPLS label, switch path, name, well, name is PE4 to PE3. And then I can just put in the IP 172.168.255.255. Show display set match switched. So let's just quickly grab that and update it as well. Let's just do a commit and quit. And do the same on our PE3, but just update the, well, damn it, rollback. Let's just update the IP and set the name. And commit and quit. And now we should actually see this LSP come up as well. So show MPLS LSP extensive. Well, let's not do extensive, let's just do it summary. It's currently down. Which is interesting. Is my OSPF set for traffic engineering on this PE4? Show configuration, display set, match OSPF. Yeah, it's set for traffic engineering. Show MPLS LSP. So that's down. I'm not going to be able to ping down, obviously. Error. Show route. Show route. So this is a slight issue. I should be learning the RSVP routes as well, like I did with the LDP, but I'm not seeing them in here. Let me just check on the other VMX. How does this look? Does it give me any reason why it's not up? the route table here. Because here I'm learning an RSVP route, which is what I'm expecting. But I'm not learning the same route on the PE4. So what's different? What am I missing? I'm missing something somewhere. I'm probably missing something on PE4. Just double check my PE4 configuration. Show display, show configuration, display set. I'm pretty sure I've added RSVP onto it. So I've got my MPLS interface, I've got my RSVP, and I've got my OSPF, which is fine. I've got the router ID, that's fine. Okay. I wonder if it has something to do with my microtics in the middle. I really hope it doesn't. Let's just quickly have a look-see. If I go back onto some documentations. Nothing worthwhile there, just some Reddit post. It might be useful to add your post on Junipers. You have to disable RSVP message aggregation. Wonder if I go on to the Junipers, let's just do a configure set protocols RSVP. Where was it? Is there anything for aggregation? Could have something to do with the hello acknowledgements. Though that is also just speculation on my part. What did I open? VPLC. Let me consult another oracle quickly. Message aggregation. I don't even, or am I missing it? There's no message aggregation here. What about if I go into the interface? Does that give me an option? No. I'm pretty sure it would be in the global hierarchy of the RSVP settings. Node hello? No, it's not the node hello. No, that's just a statement. I'm looking for, it has to be some option. Let me look at the second Juniper. Does this maybe have it? Configure, set MPLS, set protocols, RSVP. No, it also doesn't have it. Junos. Maybe that's it. Set protocols, MPLS, RSVP. No, that's just hold time errors. I know for a fact that I've got traffic engineering configured on PE3 since it is actually working to the MicroTik. It's just not working to another Juniper, and the setup is practically the same. And to me, the only difference is that I've got MicroTiks running inside this core network, and I've got a feeling if I just connect onto this V router in the middle, that those two Junipers will be able to communicate. Pretty frustrating. It's just a hunch though. I'm not 100% sure. I mean, I might spin up a separate lab just to test that specifically on like 3 Junipers or something. I swear there has to be something here in the RSVP. What's in the LSP set? No, that's not that. Peer interface? No. No, it's not going to be the preamp. I mean, I don't even think it's that the RSVP is not working. But let's check that actually. Show. So I've got an RSVP neighbor up. Is it actually up or not? currently down. So that's why it's not working. So let's just make sure that I've got... I think I see the issue. Nuts. Nuts, nuts, nuts. That's actually so stupid what the issue is. And it's not that it's stupid, it's actually makes sense, because everywhere I was like, Ether 1, 2, and 3 is the core links for the network, so that's where I'm going to add RSVP on. But here, Ether 3 is just going to the route reflector, so that's wrong. I needed to add Ether 4, so that is where our issue is. So it's not even the MikroTiks potentially. This is probably just me not adding the right interface because I didn't realize it. So if I go routing, RSVP, routing, actually MPLS, RSVP, traffic engineering, I should just add another interface, and that interface will be Ether 4. Ether 3 I could actually delete, but I'm not gonna waste time now. Let's just see if this comes up. We should see it come up any minute, any second. So I've got G000 going to Ether 4. Can I actually ping that IP? Yeah, I can, so that should come up. MPLS traffic engineering interface print. Got into Ether 4 there. Can you do neighbors here? Traffic engineer. What can we do from the interfaces? Just print. That doesn't help me much. It's still down. Let's connect onto, what is that, P2. I think it's P2. Did I even edit it on the right device? Yeah, I did. So let's just connect onto there from Winbox quickly. So I get that nice Winbox feeling. So P2 connect. And if we navigate down to our MPLS settings, our traffic engineering, Ether 4 is there now. And we can see that. Let's just check it again. Still down. Let me just disable and re-enable Ether 4. Configure, show compare. So let's just try and disable that interface. So set protocols RSVP. Let's just disable it, commit and quit, and re-enable it. Delete the disable, or I could just do a rollback. Let's do a rollback one. Show compare, that's fine. So let's just save it and let's just see what happens. What is our outcome? Look on our mic or our Juniper. Let me just quit. Why is my RSVP down? Why is this not working? Configuration display set. So that's got family MPLS, which is fine. And I do have that for MPLS. I've got OSPF for traffic engineering. Why don't I have the RSVP added here? Or I'm sure I did. Oh, never mind. It's at the bottom. It would help if I just scroll down a little bit. And it's obviously up because I'm able to ping out through that interface. I can get to my neighbor's IP. VPLS RS show RSVP interface GE000. Well, that state shows up. RSVP neighbor. Is it up now? The status shows down there though. But I wonder, is my MPLS actually down? Yeah, it's still down. Well, it's gonna be down because of the RSVP being down. I was kind of hoping. No, state shows it's up. I'm misreading so many things now. So I can see it is able to get to 255. The state is up. And that should mean at least that our MPLS should be up. This looks a bit weird to me, this LSP name there. And if we look at our routes, at least we're seeing label switch paths there. And we're seeing the label switch path for these interfaces, which is fine. But I'm not learning the routes. There we can see I've got 4 hidden routes. Let's just see why they're hidden. So if I do a show route table hidden, you can see we're learning these BGP routes. And if I do this as extensive, could it be because they're unverified? I just want to have a quick comparison of the PE's route reflector configuration. So show display set match BGP. So that's fine. Here I've got a no flow validate policy. Let me just see if I have the same on this other device. Show configuration, display set, match BGP. No, so it's not the no flow validate. I do think it might have something to do with the routes itself. Do I actually see my inet 3 or inet.3 show? I'm sure I do. Show route table inet.3. And this is where we can see that, which is fine. If I do the customer route table again, I am learning .30. All right, this actually makes sense why I'm not learning these, because those are the MikroTik devices and I haven't built LSPs between PE4 and those devices, so it doesn't know how to get to any of those devices. So that's actually fine. That is right. So for me, the important bit is that it is learning. But this IP is wrong. I need to update this. That was supposed to be .6. So that is why I got confused as well. Because I'm like seeing, hey, I'm learning this, but it's also a local route. So let's just rename interfaces family inet address So let's just rename it from that to address .6/31. Show compare, commit and quit. Now that should be the winning configuration. So if I do a show route table, customer 1, we can see I'm learning the route 410, and 20 is going to be hidden because I don't have the LSP built between PE2 and PE3. But I do have the LSPs built between PE4 and 3 and 3 and 1. Now the question is, can I get from this site where this virus device is to this MikroTik that I put here in the bottom, which I don't think I've added the IP for the LAN stuff. So let me just quickly do that. IP address, add address 192.168.40.1/24 on Ether 2. And then what I could do is just from the MikroTik, can I ping 192.168.30.1, and let's just source it from 192.168.40.1, and that's failing. But this is kind of where I got stuck with MikroTik and RSVP the last time as well, because even if I'm using MikroTik to MikroTik, I couldn't get that to work. Like I was learning the routes, I was seeing the stuff, but it just didn't want me to actually use the tunnels, use the traffic. So I'm not sure if there's extra parameters I maybe need to force into the tunnels. Maybe I need to set the bandwidth as well, because it's just set at 0 at the moment, but I would imagine that setting to 0 just means unlimited, like use as much as you can or as much as you want. But it's interesting to see that the RSVP connects, and it's interesting to see that the label switch paths or the LSPs are formed, and they are up and working and running, and they can actually pass both layer 2 and layer 3 information. It's just that I can't use it, and this does feel like, again, more like a MikroTik restriction than what it is a Juniper restriction. So I do think with the next lab, and I might do it a little bit off stream as well, is I'm just going to build a mini, just 3 Juniper devices, and just have them connect to each other directly, and just showcase the differences and how it works with the Juniper versus how it's not working with MikroTik. I'll also just maybe do like 3 MikroTiks with exactly the same type of lab setup, so I can play around some more with RSVP, because it's definitely, I'm probably doing something wrong, but I'll figure it out. But I do think this is going to be where I am going to end off the lab. I know tonight we haven't been really chatty or busy or anything, so it's been a fairly boring stream, but it's still fun for me to just get online, stream, and just showcase what I'm. It's really, again, just for it's for my own enjoyment more than what it is for anybody else. Like I enjoy labbing. I enjoy just doing these things and figuring it out. And there is so much to figure out, as is quite apparent in the streams, especially this stream. Like there's so much stuff that wasn't working that we kind of got working. And well, I say we, but I mean me. But there's so much stuff that we need to just rethink and visit all the time. But it was fun. It was a good stream for me. So I'm actually going to end off the stream. Thanks for watching, and catch you guys in a